Right, I'm going to give you a quick tour of MatterControl software, and this is MatterHackers MatterControl. Once you install it, you will be able to locate it through basically your menu, which is in M. If you go down to M, you will find the MatterControl software there. I'm already running MatterControl. You can also pin it to your start menu and find it from there. But this is MatterHackers MatterControl 2, version 2, 64-bit. You've basically got basic shapes that you can drag onto the thing to create a 3D drawing, which is cone, cube, a cylinder, half a cylinder, then you've got hemisphere as well, and you've got various different shapes. Like, I'm just dragging them on so you can have a look at these shapes onto the plane. What you that's a triangular prism, and I will come to the other one later. That's a pyramid. Again, this is like a ring shape, and we have a sphere there, and what we have here is text, some text that you would want to write. However, this is not a 3D friendly text at all, so you will have to try and work around it. 3D printing text is generally supported with the with text like O or E. You will get support in the middle with the 3D printed text. This is not 3D printed friendly text. You may have to find one which suits your needs. You've also got this, I think it's called, is it called a chorus or something, and you have again a corner cut from a cube, so it's a diagonal slice from a cube, and that is like a wedge. So you've got different names for each one of these, and I believe the names are here. They're torus. It's not chorus, torus. In fact, there we go. The names are there on our workspace on this top right hand corner, which we can find the names of half wedge, half sphere, half cylinder, and everything. So these objects you can simply drag onto the 3D plane and then design your own, create your own creations, 3D creations. Then you simply click on the print to create a print object. However, you will need to define your hardware printer in here. When you need to add a printer, you just click on add, create a printer, select the make and model of the printer, and you may not find your printer in here, so you will have to try and create your own version of it. You may have to select other and define your own name for the printer and everything. I've had to create my own, so AlphaWise U30. It will take you through a wizard which will set up your printer and its defaults. You can have a look at my printer's defaults. When I select it, what I have here is a set of defaults that I have set up for my printer, which is the layer thickness of 0.4 millimeter. Generally I use 0.4 millimeter layer thickness. It's not a crisper finish, but it will give me a much quicker finish in terms of print time. First layer thickness is 0.3. Perimeters, I use 0.3 for better adhesion to the hotbed, so the filament will stick to the bed very quickly and effectively. So I'm using a 0.3 layer thickness and as my first layer. The perimeters are 3 millimeter thickness, and I'm currently, for this one, I'm currently working on the Hello Kitty thing as well. And this one, what I've done is I've created a top layer with a 10 millimeter thickness, simply because there's a key ring hole there, and I want a solid section to make sure that that doesn't break off easily there. And the solid section goes all the way up to there. Then I've got the infill, as you can see, triangular infill in between there, which makes it hollow and solid at the top for the 10 mil. You've got bottom solid layer, which is 3 mil at the bottom, which is like there. You can see the solid, then it turns to a infill of 20%. Okay, triangular infill. And infill type triangles, I've got 20% infills as on a scale of 0 to 1. 0.2 is 20% infill, and basically avoid crossing lines. This is all standard. I haven't changed much there. The only thing I have changed is the infill starting angle is 45 degrees. Infill overlap is 0.2. That's all standard as well. Majority of these settings are standard in the sense that I haven't changed much there. But the addition, again, I use a skirt as opposed to a raft or a brim. It's marginally better to take off the object from the bed itself, and I find it easier to do this. And I only have a distance loop of 1mm distance from the object, 6mm. So the skirt, as you can see, it's very fine skirt on the object, around the object itself. So here what I have is support, and the support is, again, this is the bit I recommend you do. Everyone should do this. Change your default setting from MatterControl to this for the when you create perimeters. Interface layer must be 2mm, XY distance must be 2mm, air gap 0.5mm, and support type is lines. Do not go for the grid support type. You will have a hell of a day pulling this grid support type off your objects, and it's ridiculously difficult to pull them off there. So try the lines grid type, support type. When you have your support with the objects that gets printed at the same time as the object, make sure it's the line support, and it's according to the interface layer of 2mm and XY distance of 2 as well, and an air gap of 0.5mm. It will be easier to take it off your object, the 3D object itself, any support that you've placed in place. The pattern spacing, again, is 3mm. Again, I made a change to that. 3mm is, I would recommend it because it's easier to take off and break off your 3D object as well. Infill angle 45 degrees. This support thing is the only change I've made, and I found it easier to break off after the first time where I had a default setting of grid, and it took me hours, literally hours, to take off the support, and it was very difficult. I was using pliers to prise it off the object, 3D object itself. So the filament type, again, this is according to my printer setting, which is 1.75mm thickness of my filament. How much density it has and cost, I didn't manage to fill that in because it varies. And extruded temperature 200 degrees, bed temperature 60 degrees. Again, these are the things that I tend to set on for my printer and according to my printer itself. So that's straightforward. The controls, according to your printer, if you're physically connected your printer to your computer, then you set the control settings. Otherwise, you do not need to set these control settings here. So if you're using a TF card on an SD card, you don't need to set your control settings at all, unless you physically connected your printer via USB to your computer, which means you can send the print directly to the printer. Okay, so that's that. That's my Hello Kitty keychain thing that I'm working on. But I'm going to show you, for this demo, I'm going to show you is how to create a 3D maze using your MatterControl, MatterHackers MatterControl. And the control that on the left hand panel, as you can see, I missed one object out to drag onto the plane. I'm going to drag that out onto the plane right now. That object itself is an image converter, so whatever image I put into here, it will convert it for me into a 3D image. So ideally, this is what I'm going to be using to show you how quickly you can create a maze in MatterHackers MatterControl. And this is what I found very useful. I haven't yet printed the maze yet, so this is the one thing I'm going to use to create my maze. What I've done already on my computer is I have actually got a picture of mazes in here, and it's very easy to print one of these mazes out. I'm going to take a basic maze picture, which from my maze thing here. As you can see, they're just JPEGs or PNG, portable network graphics and things like that. They're just standard images. They're not anything special, and they've been designed and taken off our internet sites or images from internet sites, which I can just port in and create my 3D maze with. So here, I just go onto my right hand side for the image converter options, and I change my image from that to my image that's in my pictures library. So I'm just going to go scroll to my pictures library here, where I select my pictures library and I select my maze folder, if I can find it. There we go. Oh, it's at the top. And I've actually managed to select the dinosaur image. As you can see, it's ported it in as well. So at the same time, that is my dinosaur image. You can literally scale the image itself, and if I just turn it, rotate it, you will be able to see what the maze actually looks like, a 3D maze actually looks like. And this is basically the 3D maze. So that's where you start off from, and there's where you finish. So you will basically navigate your ball around there through the 3D maze and finish across there. And again, it's very straightforward. I'm going to change the same image now and try and use a different image. So it's very intuitive and very easy to use. I can put a normal standard image of the maze, and this is how the maze looks here in this. So if I just drag that out, you can see that it's given me the walls and everything in 3 dimension, and I can use a ball bearing to navigate through this maze as well. I can also create the ball using one of these spherical objects, and have my ball also placed on this. So just the maze here alone, what I can do is set the properties for the maze here. I can select the maze. At the bottom, when I scroll down, I can give my maze a base. At the moment, it doesn't have a base. If I give it a rectangular base, it seems much better now, and my ball can navigate on that rectangular base. Make sure you define a base for your maze. If you don't define a base, the ball's going to drop straight down onto the floor. Okay, you can have a circular base. You can define your own base for the thing. You can have an outline base, outline according to the shape of your maze. I'm going to change the shape to show you what the outline looks like again. If I change to Dragon Maze, there we go. The outline maze is just there according to the text and everything that's onto the image. You can edit the image prior to creating your maze, so you won't get some of this text that's on there, and you can literally remove that text as well. So if I just bring that in, dinosaur maze, it just looks amazingly cool when you have it in that form. Okay, and you can create also 3D print your spherical ball that you can use to navigate around the maze itself. I will be designing one of these and printing it as well. So when I designed this and printed it, I will show you the final product on my YouTube site and my website, which you can hopefully have a look at, and possibly even print one yourself if you'd like. But that is a quick overview of how to create mazes within MatterHackers MatterControl software itself. It isn't all that difficult to create. As you can see, it is very straightforward in terms of creating mazes from standard images that we have in terms of the style of images. And the beauty of this is it's like a custom maze, a custom 3D printed maze. It's not something that you would find normally in shops anywhere. So it's something that you would create for someone that you want to give it as a present for, and it's really cool item if you've 3D printed it. So have a look at it yourself. When I print my final product, I will actually show you and the 3D maze itself, that the printed version of the 3D maze, and you can have a look at it. Ideally, what I would do on here as well, which I'll explain to you, is I would create a top cover for this, so that once you navigate the ball bearing through into the maze, it doesn't sort of pop off the maze itself, so you don't fall, the ball bearing doesn't fall out of the maze. So I would put a top cover on there, a transparent top cover on this maze as well. So as when it's printing, you will print it in two sections. Make sure you print the maze in one color, and then have a transparent cover on the maze at the top. And I will show you, when I finish my final product, I will show you the concept that I'm thinking of and I'm trying to describe to you, so you can have an idea as to how I would be creating one of these things. So hopefully, if you do like what I've done here, subscribe to my channel, and I will show you the various different techniques that I've been using using different software, and how to create these things and use these concepts for 3D printing as well. So thank you, cheers, bye.